What's going on, everybody? Nazdarachi back again for a quick little mini episode. I'm going to do a banner review of the Phase 3 Anniversary banner here. Now this one does have some good relics on it, but both of the overstrikes leave a little to be desired, and overall I'm saving my last 50 mithril for a pull on Phase 4, just because overall I have less dupes and I feel like it's going to have better chance of pulling a more powerful relic. So the first item on the banner is the Apocalypse Sword for Bartz. It does have attack 166, which is a little lower than some of the better OSB swords, which will feature 169. No bonus effects at all, and your Overstrike, Hand of the Crystals, deal massive range physical wind, water, fire, and earth damage to one target, can break the damage cap. Now, this would be a good overstrike to bring in any situation where you know ahead of time that the boss is going to have some type of elemental weakness that's listed of these four here, but since there's no non-elemental damage on top of these four elements here, generally this overstrike is not going to do as much damage as one that is more focused around just one or two elements, or one element and non-elemental damage. It is ranged though, however, so it can hit bosses that are at a distance. I'm going to list it right around average, if not just a smidge below average, but in the right situation, it is actually a little above average. Now your chance to pull this sword is about 0.78%. Next item is Gilgamesh's Naginata. It is a spear, attack 166, and it does have a small chance to paralyze as a bonus effect. However, a lot of high-level enemies are going to resist that effect. Your overstrike here, Strange Bedfellow, deal massive physical damage to one target. Damage dealt increases if no allies are KO'd, and can break the damage cap. Now this overstrike, off the top of the description here, seems like it should be pretty good, but realistically, Gilgamesh really shines in the Knight category using moves that are more akin to Draw Fire, Retaliate, and stuff that's going to prevent the team from getting beat up while he gets beat up instead. Because of this, his attack stat is generally not going to be the highest on the team, and this I've roaming warriored quite a few times, and it never really does a terrific amount of damage, even when everyone is alive. Animation is fairly cool though, how he interacts with everybody in Final Fantasy V. So overall, I'm going to put it at just a little bit below average. Now, if you're using Gilgamesh and you want just a finishing move for him, that's kind of where this is going to shine, similar to most other Overstrike Soul Breaks. So this one kind of falls to the wayside, but it's still a reasonable item. Your percent chance to draw it is about 1.12%. The next item here really needs no introduction. It is the Burst Soul Break Metamorphosis, attack 89, magic 128, and the small boost to dark damage is very nice as well. The Burst Soul Break itself is fairly good because you do get a defense and magic buff to the whole team that is fairly stackable because it's magic and defense. And the burst commands are really the DPS monster of this item, using the second burst command to bargain your stats up, and then just spamming the reduced delay on the 4 attacks from Shining Moment can just crank out tons of dark damage, especially when you cycle back into the second use of the Burst Soul Break where you already have your stats boosted. And again, it also never hurts to lead with Memento Mori to doom yourself before you use this move. Again, you can crank out tons of damage. This item's really well known and probably one of the best items on this banner. Your chance to draw it is about 0.88%. Now, I wouldn't pull on this banner specifically for these claws because there is a Final Fantasy XIII event coming back around the way here, and his claws will be featured on that again. So unless you need some of these other relics, I wouldn't pull for just the Metamorphosis claws. Now, moving forward, we have the Zeromus Shard for Golbez here, attack 55, magic 129, also adds a constant boost to dark damage, which is quite nice, and 66 mind on a footnote there. The Burst Soul Break Twin Moon, 7 magic dark non-elemental attacks to one target, haste burst mode, raise the user's magic a moderate amount, and raise the defense a large amount, and attract all single target black magic and physical attacks to the user for a limited amount of time. Now, this Burst Soul Break isn't going to be quite as much of a DPS monster as Sid Reigns, but it is also a very good Burst Soul Break. Not only does it do a pretty good amount of damage, but it has tons of utilitarian uses as well. Obviously, raising the magic and defense a moderate amount and forcing yourself to be a target is one good aspect, especially when you combine that with this Burst Command 1 here that grants the user a barrier that negates attack damage up to 30%. Golbez can tank damage like crazy when he's got all these buffs up. As well, the Burst Command 1 adds Summon Strike. For anyone not familiar with Summon Strike, it is a token that your character has to use once, and then once you use either ability, again, when you have this token, it's going to enhance its characteristics. So having Summon Strike and recasting Burst Command 1 will summon the Shadow Dragon to deal 4 magic dark attacks to all targets, and it removes the mark. So you're going to want to lead with Burst Command 1, and then potentially start using Burst Command 2 here to crank out some DPS. The 4 magic dark attacks to one target and healing the user like a Drainga almost. If the user has Summon Strike, that's particularly useful. It will let him compete with Reigns for DPS, but Reigns is going to be doing more damage. This is, like I said, more of a damage absorption / utilitarian and damage related Burst Soul Break. It is very good. I spent more time talking about this one than any of the other ones. I would really like this item, and you have about a 1.17% chance to draw it. Golbez being one of the cooler, more favorite characters of mine from the Final Fantasy series. Next up, we have the Shura Gloves. It is a bracer, so armor Burst Soul Break for Rafia here. 26 attack, 18 magic, 93 defense, and 89 resistance, 19 mind. Small boost to fire damage at all times, which can definitely be useful. We definitely like boosts that don't require synergy. Dance of Carnage, Burst Soul Break, 8 physical fire non-elemental attacks to one target, temporarily raise the user's critical hit chance a large amount, and hasten burst mode to the user. It is not quite as good as the other 2 Mage Burst Soul Breaks we've seen featured on the banner so far, but in a fire weak situation, and as well because it has non-elemental, this Burst Soul Break can still shine. The user's critical hit chance a large amount will definitely be useful because of her Burst Command 1 here. 4 ranged physical fire non-elemental attacks to one target. Critical hits deal additional damage, so she's basically buffing herself to do more damage to then enhance her own Burst Command 1 here. And, you know, that's a good amount of attacks with solid damage. So for a monk, this is potentially a little bit better than some of the other monk soul breaks that we have out. Fires of Carnage deal 2 ranged physical fire and non-elemental attacks to all targets, and bargain your attack up at the cost of defense. So you will want to lead with the Fires of Carnage in conjunction with the Burst Soul Breaks buff itself. You should be getting very solid damage out of these burst commands here. Now, the only thing notable about them is that they do not have any sort of cast time reduction on them. But again, you should still be doing a pretty reasonable amount of damage, and it'll work great for your Final Fantasy III synergy as well. The chance to draw these gloves or bracers is about 1.07%. Moving forward, we have the Magical Brush for Realm here. Now, I'm off-put initially just because I don't really like Realm, but she is the most dedicated healer that Final Fantasy VI has to offer, and the effects on this are actually quite good. 55 attack, 100 magic, 131 mind, no bonus effects sadly, but the Burst Soul Break Star Prism, deal 3 white magic holy non-elemental attacks to all targets, restore a moderate amount of HP to all allies, and grant them Last Stand. The actual burst move itself here is really what shines about this whole relic. The fact that you can deal a little bit of damage, heal the allies at the same time, and grant them all Last Stand means that this Burst Soul Break will be great to spam out. If you can keep your Soul Break gauge up, it will effectively make your team pretty much unkillable. So, kudos to Realm for having a really good item, even though I don't really like her. Rainbow Aura is your standard Burst Command 1 that you would see on Y'shtola's Asylum, and Miracle Stroke would be also identical to Y'shtola's Burst Command 2. So Burst Commands definitely useful in the healing sense, but really the damage, heal, and last stand on this burst soul break really makes it shine. Last stand being the highlight of the burst soul break here. And you seem to have about a 1.05% chance to pull the brush. I actually wouldn't be upset if I got that. Now, Sabin's armlets making a return here. They were just and still are on the Final Fantasy VI Banner 1. 26 attack, 18 magic, 94 defense, resistance 90, 19 mine. Stats all over the place, so they are functional for many different people to wear them, other than Sabin. No bonus effects, and we have a good Super Soul Break here. It does confuse me a little bit because it's not really the effects I would expect to see from Sabin, who's mainly a damage dealer in Final Fantasy VI, but nonetheless, if you're using him for synergy or for just whatever other reason, this Super Soul Break is not terrible. Restore a moderate amount of HP to all allies, so it'll function as a secondary heal for the team. It is proportional to their max HP. And you get a large defense buff as well as a Suna cast on them. So it will raise the defense a large amount, and physical situations, physical-based boss fights, that by itself is fairly useful right there. It will stack with other buffs that, you know, boost 2 stats a moderate amount, so that is as well fairly stackable. Now, the health portion of this is really what confuses me. Like I said, I see Sabin as a damage dealer, not a healer, but if you find yourself in a bind and say your whole team is poisoned or paralyzed or whatever, what have you, turned to stone, then that Asuna effect can come in very handy, especially if your white mage is the one who, for example, is silenced and you need to pop in with this to save your team. So I'm not going to deny the functional use of this item right here, but I already have it at 6 stars, so it's not something that I would want to pull, but it's not a terrible item. There's about a 2.36% chance to draw it. And the Howling Soul, I also already have this item. It is a Super Soul Break for Noelle. Attack 133, no bonus effects. Death Blow, deal 6 instant physical attacks to one target with a high chance to interrupt, and remove the delay from the user's actions for 2 turns. This Super Soul Break is nowhere near as useful as his Burst Soul Break, which has a lot of support and break effects to it. But I could potentially see you, maybe if you have 2 bars of Soul Gauge stacked up, maybe using this to lead into his Burst Soul Break or something like that, just because of its delay removal. But honestly, on this banner, this is probably one of the weaker items, and I as well already have it also, and at a 2.24% chance to drop. Hopefully you can avoid this one for some of the better items on the banner. The Fire Lash here. This is a very old item, but it is still relevant. It is still good. It's a whip for Creel, and it adds a small boost to fire damage at all times. So we have Sheepsong here, which is a ridiculously useful Super Soul Break. Gives the whole team Heiska, Major Regen, and Faithka of a moderate amount. Now, this is going to be great for any spellcasters. If you have Mage Burst Soul Breaks with Burst Command 1s that have varying amount of attacks depending on the user's magic stat. So if you use this, in addition to the Burst Soul Breaks from those characters and their bargain moves, that should really up their magic close to soft cap, where you will be able to get those 5 to 6 attacks out of those Burst Command 1s. The Heistega and Major Regen can be very useful as well, Heistega being more important than Regen, but really the Faithka and the Heistega are the highlights of this item, and even though it's so old, that's why it's still being moderately used even today. Your chance to draw this is about 1.90%. Great as a roaming warrior setup as well. And we have Super Soul Break here for Laguna. It is a gun, so ranged attack, 117, no bonus effects, and Super Soul Break Visions of the Past. Deal 6 ranged physical attacks to one target and temporarily raise the attack of all allies a large amount. So for Final Fantasy VIII synergy, this would be a reasonable sub-in for a Ramza shout or Cid shout effect. It does trade the Heistega for 6 ranged physical attacks, which is a little bit of a downgrade. But again, like I said, for Final Fantasy VIII Dungeon Synergy, this can be very useful. For your A team, you'll still be packing Ramza or Cid from Final Fantasy VII with his shout. But again, this is this is pretty useful for Final Fantasy VIII, and outside of that, it's reasonable, but not necessarily something like that you would want to really have as part of your main strategy here. Chance to draw this is about 1.68%. Kind of low stats on it also. Not the greatest. And that is everything on the banner here, but I'll refresh my $1 worth of gems, and we can do a 100 gem draw. 100 gem draw is in action here. Not expecting anything fantastic, but, you know, it would never hurt. And only a 3-star. And one that I've gotten before recently, too. Sad day. But, again, I'm saving the last remaining portion of my Mythrolite here for Phase 4. Cid Rains and Golbez are a highlight of this Phase 3 right here. So it wouldn't hurt to draw for them, but again, Cid Rain's stuff is coming back around, so it might not hurt you to skip this banner as well, just depending on how you've allocated all your resources. The 2 OSBs are not really good compared to the OSBs in the other phases. I mean, they are reasonable moves in their own right, but compared to other OSBs, they're just not the greatest. Really, the 2 or 3 mage BSBs are really what you're looking for here in this banner, as well as Sheep Song. Some other good obscure effects on some of the other items, but those are the power players on this phase right here. I wish you guys great luck on potentially scoring those items, or if you're a fan of Gilgamesh or Bart's, then, you know, it wouldn't hurt to get the plus 10 mastery points and a finishing move for either of them. In the meantime, guys, I will be back for Phase 4 and the next event that's incoming. I hope you guys have a great day and enjoyed this Relic review video here. As always, this is Nazdarachi, and I will catch you next time. Have a good one. Peace out.